Welcome. It's so exciting to be here. My name is Alicia Jimenez. I'm with Pajaro Valley Unified School District. And as you can see, we have an incredible team here with PVPSA. We are very deeply grateful for the participation of our students, especially our students, because they're the most important voice in this process. Our parents and community partners in this journey of discovery, collaboration, and growth. For PVUSD, we have a very strong team. We have our wonderful superintendent, Dr. Michelle Rodriguez. Andrea Willie is our grant writer. Michael Berman, our director of equity. Ruby Vasquez, our parent educator. Brenda Guzman, parent ed specialist, and Jacqueline Medina, principal at Starlight Elementary. Parents, we're very grateful for you, for your participation. Flor Garcia, she is with Starlight Elementary. Carmen Plasencia, also with Starlight. Mireya Reina Rincon is a parent who works with CDD and has a student at Alianza. And Rocio Camargo has a student in high school. These are their students, actually. Florecita Garcia is Starlight. Natalia Reina Rincon goes to Alianza, and Bella Camargo is a student at Pajaro Valley High School. We have a very strong community ecosystem, and here are a few of our partners. Susan Brucci with ASR. Erika Padilla Chavez works with PVPSA. And Elizabeth Padilla is a partner with the city of Watsonville. Celeste Gutierrez is our County Office of Education partner. And we're very happy to have Josue Barajas from Second Harvest Food Bank, an incredible partner throughout this last year especially. This is us. This is PVUSD. We have almost 20,000 incredible students. And as you can see, our demographics, we are an underserved district. We have 15% of special education, 65% English learners, 14% students without permanent housing, 10% migrant students, and 81% of our students live in poverty.
So as all of us here on this call know, when we're looking at an equity agenda and really trying to ensure that our parents, especially our most vulnerable families, have access to that, we always look at how do we put in those resources. So one thing that we know is we want to make sure that those resources touch our students. And so like most school districts, our budget is really linked to staff that is focusing not only on our students, but also on our families. So for our budget, we have about a $353 million budget. 87% of that funds goes to salary and benefits. We have a very strong benefit package here within the district because we know, as the pandemic showed, the importance of the health. When you look on the right side and you kind of see where those salaries and benefits are, we are specifically and strategically ensuring that it really is targeting the touching of our students. So we only have 2% of all of our funding is for district certificated management and 2% for classified management, also that we can ensure that the 2,500 staff members are touching students. We, throughout the district, and we'll see in a little bit later, we have what's called the target for student success. And so we want to make sure that everyone within the system is really aware of not only what we're focusing, but also how we're measuring that. And so each year we have what we call dashboard and scorecards, which we look at these key performance indicators. And so for the essence of time, I won't go over all of them. But what I will say is all of these key performance indicators that are here are really linked to the following slide that Michael Berman will go over. That is our 7 LCAP goals. And so we, every month, and when we do expanded cabinet, we are looking at these key performance indicators, especially during distance learning, but at all times to really identify how we are doing and the pivots that we need to make. And then this information is provided out to parents through what we call one-sheeters, which are data sheets.
You know, one of the pieces to this presentation was to identify your drivers. And we started doing this massive brainstorm of going back 20 years and started with our tireless advocate Ruby when she started 18 years ago in her TOSA position, and then the LCAP came along and really gave us an opportunity to dive in deeper, establish these goals. But the true driver that for a lot of us really put the main piece into place was when Dr. Rodriguez came on board and really gave us the sense of purpose and the clarity that students need to be in the center. One of the things that she did is this target for success, which really aligned all of the pieces that were out there into one clear goal, which is we want our students, all of our students, to be college and career and life ready. And that allowed us to take all of the LCAP goals and make them even more focused into one singular effort and vision. And it allowed us to do the increasing of student performance, the elevating of our visual and performing arts that we're able to provide, the heightening of our CTE pathways, the more of a direct influence and push to ensure that all of our students, all of our English learners and all students have a better foundation, better supports from every angle. More creative and supportive and positive school cultures and district cultures. And then also the 21st century environments have been heightened to the nth degree because of this focus on our students. And then obviously with making sure that our parents, our guardians, our families and our community are not just that we're not expecting the bridge to be crossed from them to us, but that we are really listening and responding to and creating an interactive and a clear dialogue with everybody in our community. And so what this driver did is it kind of gave us two key strategies. And one is to strengthen and build the ecosystem, the environment with which we are able to support all of our learners and our community. And then the other piece is the pivots and innovations, identifying the changing times, changing needs, and priorities, and really make the moves necessary in order to provide the best ecosystem possible. And then so in building the ecosystem, we really looked at it as we need a team that interacts well, communicates well, and responds to the needs. And so three of the pieces that we're going to be talking about today are our parent engagement team, which is a district. We're located at the district, but we support our sites and district-wide community. We have our parent engagement team, which we'll be talking about, and then we have a robust collection of partners that we work with within our community. And I believe I'm handing it off to one of our all-star community partners, Erica.
Thank you. And here's our ecosystem of community partners. All of these logos that you see on your screen represent organizations, partner organizations in our community that have wrapped their arms around the students and the families of PVUSD. And one clear example that I'd like to highlight during this pandemic is how our ecosystem of partners came together to eliminate the digital divide. We knew that bridging the digital divide is key to increasing engagement and bringing equity. And so community partners like Digital Nest, Cruzio, the City of Watsonville, and the Monterey Bay Education Partnership, they came together with a local Chamber of Commerce, and they addressed this issue by offering free internet access for our families in families of the PVUSD community. Our city plaza, which is located right in the middle of the city of Watsonville, became a free internet zone for our community as well. So not only do we wrap our arms around, metaphorically around our students and our families, we really do get to work and address the issues that we know get in the way of our families having access. So we're very proud of supporting the district.
And so one of the things that happened, I think it was 3 years ago, is we have all of these entities that are interacting intimately with our families, communities, and students, and we realized we need to come together and share our best practices and discuss what we're doing and talk about our overlaps and our areas of collaboration. we were collaborating with different departments within the district, and then with our community partners, but we didn't have a centralized place or a venue to really align all that we do. And so we started the Parent Engagement Network, which has representatives from most of the departments, all of the departments that interact with parents, some of our community organizations, and then we started bringing in site administrators from all the site levels for their great connection with parents and their input. And so this is an evolving team, and it's growing both in its size and its impact. And especially during COVID, we made all these subgroups, including like the messaging team and the wellness team, that really provided a lot of connections between the needs of our community, our students, our families, with the sites and the departments, to make sure that we could respond to all of the needs and changing priorities as we pivoted.
Hi, my name is Ruby Vasquez, and I'm going to share a little bit about what we were doing pre-COVID. And a lot of this has carried on, of course, but especially our main purpose, which is to serve our local community parents and guardians. And we truly believe that what we're doing is the heart of the matter. We truly believe that when we look at the child, the student as a whole child, we cannot forget about their parents, their guardians, their family. So in our efforts as a district, we are constantly looking at how can we provide parents and guardians with the information and tools that they need to continue to be there for their students, to guide their students, and knowing that the student lives their lives in 3 different areas: their home, their school, and their community. We are constantly looking at what's going on in those 3 realms. How can we continue to provide what's needed in those 3 areas? So this slide is just showing some of the activities that, again, we have been providing before COVID and have continued to provide our local families during distance learning, always looking at what we are striving towards as a district, what are the current needs in math, science, and the content areas, and trying to and providing parents with that information. We have a large newcomer population, and we're also meeting with those families so that they are in the loop with what's going on with their child's education. What we offer parents in the form of leadership, building that capacity of how can they take on that role at their school site and district level. We're developing that constantly every year. And this slide is talking about some of the Saturday activities we used to do before COVID. We have great principals in our district that truly support the efforts that we're working towards, and many of the principals will get a bus to transport the parents to the different venues. They'll do things like buy school T-shirts and just build that climate of parent participation and get the parents excited about attending the events. And as you can see, we offered a variety of Saturday events where we talked about college and career readiness, constantly also giving information to families who have children with special needs. And again, we're doing these conferences and these workshop nights in Spanish and in English, and sometimes in Mixteco, but often with Mixteco interpretation.
You know, we often talk, especially right now, about post-COVID, but really we wanted to also just do a little glimpse pre-COVID as well, because of all the work that was happening. So you saw the listing, the really large ecosystem of partners that we had. When I came here, one of the key items that I wanted to make sure and do was to help to really provide some deliberate action and intention to that work. So we have all these partners, we have all these parents wanting to do really wonderful things for our students. So how do we help guide that and shape that? So that's where you see the cycle for success, which is here. So it includes our vision, the goals, which are the LCAP goals that were referred to, our core values. And really, that was part of the one-sheeters or the data sheets that I was referring to, is how do we help people to know the direction that we're moving so that we can continue to really provide educational equity through innovation and continuous improvement. So we truly believe in how do we there is no stop point, but how do we continuously look at what we're doing and innovate and improve. And so one of those things that we did was an educational equity audit, which you see on the right-hand side. And this was part of a data sheet or a one-sheeter that we provided. So we try to take really complex information that sometimes is a challenge for parents to understand, and how do we provide it in a graphical form and in a consumable form where people know this is the direction that we're going. So we, through EdTrust West, partnered with them in order to do an 18-month educational equity audit that developed this 3-year action plan. So we're actually in the 3rd year of the action plan. Many of the community partners that you see here were part of that. And on top of that, we had a team from each one of our secondary schools that really developed this map, knowing what are the obstacles. We had parent forums, and so everyone was very involved, so that when we came to the 3-year action plan, we would actually implement it. And then we do continuously ask people for feedback. So for the last 3 years, we have been working with Youth Truth. This year, we had almost 19,000 responses, so pretty good, where we had so we had 86% of our students, 31% of our families. It still isn't where we want it to be, but knowing the first year that we did it, we had only about 300 responses, and now we have 5,700 responses during a pandemic. We feel pretty good about that. And then 68% of our staff. And so we asked them these continual questions about culture, about relationships, about what they need. And we're able to track that over time so that we see is our vision and our goals and then our action steps, is it actually reaping us the rewards that we want? And if not, then how can we pivot? How can we change? And how can we have our community partners and our partner ecosystem really help to move the entire system forward, because we look at it from a systemic point of view. And so I will go ahead, if it's okay, I'm going to go ahead and do the SIPs portion of the slide for the next one. Part of equity, because we hear that word all the time. We hear what is that? And so for us, we talk about leveraging the system, time, attention, and resources for our most vulnerable students. But something, if you look at on our website, one thing that we talk when we say educational equity, we also are saying equity for our parents and our community. And I think that that's something that's very unique about where we're willing to put our time and our attention, is actually we know, and I'm sure the rest of the group on Moreno Valley as well, that we know that if we are actually lifting up our parents, if we're actually lifting up our community, we are also providing supports to our students. And so we believe in pilot to scale. So that's one of our innovation framework pieces, is that we do pilot to scale. So we know the importance of early literacy. So this is an impactful initiative that we've been doing, really focusing on early literacy. You can see that in year 1, which was my second year as superintendent, we started out with a very small pilot, just 3 sites, which only affected about 600 students. And now you can see this year, yes, through the pandemic, we continue to move that work forward. We are now at all 17 elementary sites. with now affecting over 300 teachers and over 6,000 students. And the most important is that we saw that through the pandemic, even through the pandemic, because we had strong protocols in place, we had strong learning in place. We are not making the tiers growth that we were making previously, but we are still able to make significant growth with our students to help minimize that learning loss. And we have for years, we've been really focusing on the whole child and youth development. And so we have expanded our arts education through VH1 and Save the Music. We are committed to bringing back the arts even to the elementary. And so unfortunately, we were going to have one of our principals who is part of this, Jackie Medina, that was going to speak to this, because we thought it'd be more powerful for you to hear from a principal who is actually implementing this. But she had Kinder Roundup. And so, as is always the most important, is parents and students. They are our priority. And so we released her from this presentation today because we wanted her to be able to serve our parents and students. But for arts education, one thing that we are committed to is by 2023, every elementary child will have 45 minutes worth of music instruction. And so we're really proud of that. We are in our year 2, so we're at 5 schools now, and we plan on getting to all 16. We do have 17 elementary schools, but one of them is a virtual academy, and so that's why it's 16. And so we're really using, just so if you wonder, how did we come up with this and how does it connect back to the parent initiative? When we were initially doing my listening sessions and then also our LCAP sessions, parents were saying 2 things highly. One, my students are not reading at the level that they need to, and so therefore they're getting behind. And then 2, we need more than just reading and ELA and math. We need to go back to really building off of the passions, interests, and talents of our students.
My name is Andrea Carlos Willie, and I'm the district grant writer here at Pajaro Valley, which means that I get to be a part of often hearing and shaping a lot of our innovative practices. And as Dr. Rodriguez mentioned, to implement our LCAP goals, we have done a lot to achieve equity by valuing innovation and improvement to serve our students and families. And on this slide, I'm going to share a few details about some of our programs pre-COVID that really highlight how we accomplish that. So our 21st century learning environments, at a number of our schools, we did a pilot internal grant program to facilitate the build out of flexible, meaningful, and engaging learning spaces. And then we are in a 3rd year of a virtual bilingual app implementation across our entire community that allows any family with a child from birth through 3rd grade to sign up and have in their hand portable a bilingual app that toggles and provides exposure to early literacy, word exposure, creative storytelling, etc. And that is perhaps one of the most innovative things happening in our county around early literacy. And we're really, really proud of it. And it highlights and complements the work of the SIPS program, the early literacy in school instruction that Dr. Rodriguez mentioned. So this is additional extra support for families after school instruction time. And then we have 2 projects here, Project Lead the Way Computer Science and the Elementary Computer Immersion School, that showcase how we have used, again, a pilot to scale model to bring exceptional and relevant experiences in a project-based setting for our students. So they provide hands-on learning in computer science, and at the high school level, a little more focus on information technology. And students that are exposed in this way will go on to take advantage of robust career technical education pathways that we are developing and career exploration programs that we have in our middle school. Again, every time we implement these programs, it is through communication with students and families that we really make sure that they understand and take advantage of these innovative and improving practices that we are implementing for their benefit.
Thank you, Andrea. So just really quickly, part of reimagining learning and being innovative is making sure that our students are college and career ready. At Pajaro Valley Unified School District, we really believe that it's never too early to be offering these opportunities for our parents and students. So we host a half-day conference for families and middle and high school students, where we offer a variety of workshops on how to make sure that they are ready to access the classes that they'll need to be college and career ready, get information about CTE pathways, financial aid. And so this is just one of the images of the last one we were able to host. And then 2 years ago, we started with doing another Saturday half-day conference all around discovering summer and making sure that we were proactive in preventing the summer slide. So we offered workshops for parents around how to make sure that their students were still engaging and learning over the summer, and also doing those enrichment activities and that also lead to learning. So we used our community partners and agencies to come and showcase some of the things that they have available for our families during the summer, so that we make sure that the learning continues.
What happened when COVID-19 arrived, and how did the district respond? And as a community partner, I just have to say that very early into the pandemic, as early as April of 2020, the Pajaro Valley Unified School District quickly engaged community partners in communicating with all of us how we were going to continue to work together to meet this new challenge. Literally within days of implementing this distance learning, community partners in partnership with the school district, we engaged in communications to ensure that the two-way communication efforts that we counted on when we were at school sites would continue. It was so fundamentally critical during this pandemic, early in the pandemic, that we continue to provide the wraparound supports and then some that the many partners in our community provide the students and the families of the school district. So again, as a community partner, and looking back and reflecting on how quickly the Pajaro Valley Unified School District convened community partners to ensure that we pivoted and continue to provide that support to our families and youth and establish ongoing communication with the district, it was successfully done. And so my thanks to the district for doing that.
With that in mind, it's understanding, I think the thematic has been the whole child, the whole family. And with that, immediately when shelter in place came in, I got a phone call and I got an email from the district saying, hey, we need to continue to provide meals for our families. And so we quickly partnered up with them, and they started coming into our facility here 4 times a week, picking up food for their families and their children to be able to provide that supplemental learning. Because as the school district provided food for the families, for the children, they also understood that they needed to continue to feed the families and continue to provide them even more food while they were at home. So we were able to step in and give them that support and really continue to foster that partnership with them. We also expanded some of our relationships at some of the sites. And so we went from having 8 partner sites to almost 12 partner sites throughout the school district. At one point, the school district lended their facility to host a 300 mass distribution that showed up. We had 300 cars line up, and we were able to distribute food to those families and to those folks. In terms of the digital divide, as was mentioned before, the partnerships that we're building with Cruzio, they were able to really be able to give Chromebooks to all of the students and be able to provide that distance learning for them. That communication was very very unique in the sense that there was a lot of opportunities to be sharing what we were doing in the community. And as a partner, I felt that I was always aware of what the school district was doing with every part of COVID, and making sure that whatever we needed to do, we were always front and center to be able to help. So again, I thank the school district for that help and that support, and really that ideology of having the student first, but also thinking about the families and their well-beings as well. As we all know, COVID is related back to healthy eating, and we were able to provide more than 65% of fresh produce to the families and the children for them to take home. So again, thank you, school district, for being able to partner with us.
Okay, so I'm going to move through these 2 slides really quickly because we have some parents and students here that we would love to hear from. So again, once we went into school shutdowns, we really made sure that it was all hands on deck. We increased our communication to families. We were very intentional. We did a lot of personal outreach to make sure that families had access to get the internet that they initially needed in order to participate in distance learning in March, April, and May. We were very intentional in our outreach to our Mixteco-speaking families to make sure that they were appropriately resourced. And it just so happened that at the time we were looking to revamp our website, and we really made sure that we had a space for our Mixteco-speaking families to be able to just go and find resources that they needed. And once we began the school year with distance learning, we knew that we were going to need to provide the tools for our family to navigate the different platforms we were using, whether it be Google Meet, Seesaw, Synergy. And so in collaboration with the technology department, we made sure that we had a lot of tutorial videos for students and for parents, along with handouts that were available in English, Spanish, and Mixteco. And all of the workshops that we did during the first half of the year were all around how to support the whole child during distance learning, and that included technology, tips for distance learning, and making sure that we were meeting the social and emotional needs of our students. So now I would really like to introduce one of our PVUSD parents, Mireya Reina Rincon, who's going to talk a little about her experience with distance learning.
Hello, my name is Mireya. I'm a PVUSD parent. And during the pandemic, supporting my son with distance learning has been challenging. He has an IEP and also a ADHD diagnosis. So he needs a lot of support. And throughout this time, I've reached out to school staff who have been responsive to my concerns and just willing to meet with me and create a plan on how to keep supporting him. I have truly appreciated their efforts and, again, meeting with me and with my student. And working collaboratively to support him. And I think just having a space as a parent to kind of voice these challenges out loud has been really helpful. I really appreciate that support as well. So just thank you to PVUSD for all your dedication and support during this time. And then the next slide is actually my other student. So this is Natalia. She's a 2nd grader at Alianza Charter. And do you want to just say really quick in the pictures what you're doing? So right here, she's listening to story time with her class. And then she also has mentioned she really likes to stretch. Her teacher facilitates stretching to take breaks, and she has really enjoyed doing that as well. So
Thank you, Natalia. Even though you did not speak, it's so wonderful to see your face right there. Thank you for being with us.
And we just want to say that as all of you have, there has been some innovations and practices that have really made us realize that there's some changes that we want to make and continue with. And there's, here's a list, and this is just from one of the teams that we heard from. And it also uncovered some of the areas and opportunities for growth that we want to continue on that pathway. And so this is just being part of this has been a great opportunity for this team to get together and really look deeper at the things that we've been doing and that we're going to continue doing. And thank you for giving us the opportunity to be here with you all today.
Yes, thank you. This is the end of our presentation. We really appreciate you being with us.